Well, we've had, we just one practice because Tuesday was off, but yesterday was good, and good individual meetings, good team meetings, and we've just tried to share with our team. We've got to be able to defend at a high level for 40 minutes, not 32 minutes, and that's really what we've done through 4 league games. And since that Christmas pause, they had a whole week at Christmas, came back, played for a week, and then another week off. We just haven't, from the first of the year on, been able to guard the way we got to guard for 40 minutes. Coach Neal and I won, I think, 7 titles when we were at New Mexico combined, and the lowest we ever were in the league deficiency was 4. And right now we're 9th. So that's why you're 500. And so our guys have got to figure that out. We've just got to be able to defend. The other things, obviously, we got to get better shots and do a lot of different things offensively. But my biggest concern right now is if they want to compete at the top of this league, they're going to have to be better defensively through 40 minutes. And we're going to get a really good test again on tomorrow night because Fresno's really good.
Those individual meetings, is that something you usually do? Or is that...
Yeah, there's a lot of things we usually do, but we haven't had a chance to do, and that's obviously a little bit's on the times, Chris. I said on my radio show last night, and I was on Fox today with the guys that are doing the game, and I take responsibility for. I just don't think I don't think we've been in the. Normally, this time of year, we're in really good competitive condition, both mentally and physically. And I noticed it live, but I really noticed it on tape. Even last year, playing Fresno twice here, playing Wyoming twice up there in altitude and everything, our pace was much better against both of those. Boise, same thing in watching last year versus this year. And I say I do things different, but it's just hard. Normally, guys get 3 days off at Christmas. We got a full 5, and then we come back here, and the San Jose game is canceled, and so now you got a week of practice, and we played pretty well against New Mexico. Again, we guarded really well for about 34 minutes, and the last 6 minutes of that game was not very good. But coming out of that kind of pause, we did pretty well, but normally over the break, which is about 5 weeks, we do 2-a-days because we have no class. And so all of my career, we've always brought them in 10, 11 o'clock and done an hour of just individual work, shooting, ball handling, fundamentals, bring them back later in the day, then feed them dinner. And we didn't know 2-a-days over this break. And, if I had to do over, I'd probably go ahead and do it. But when you're coming out of a 6-day pause, that's hard to – hey, let's just, bury him in time. And, truth be told, I wish I would have. But we are where we are, and now we got to really concentrate on moving forward. So a lot of it was just, I didn't like our body language. I thought our body language was soft. Our defense was soft. And we've got to get a lot more tough-minded and more of that fist approach instead of, hey, it's you, it's you, it's you, and woe is me. We're pretty blessed to be able to run up down a basketball court and play this great game, and I need to see our guys have that kind of emotion again.
There's a lot of talk about the word tough or toughness, which is very often used in basketball, but somewhat vague. What does tough or toughness mean to you in terms of basketball?
Yeah, it's one of those things that's on our wall that doesn't take talent. It's the ability to shoot the basketball, the ability to rebound the basketball, pass, dribble. Those are skill sets. But when you talk about toughness, it's doing the small things. Can you be the first to the floor? Do you take charges? Do you block out? Do you follow game plans? Do you play harder than your opponent? Effort, both mentally and physically. So like mental toughness. Do you understand the game plan, and can you go now effectively produce the game plan? Those are all things that I think it has nothing to do with. Now, the type of shot you get, that's mental toughness versus I'm going to sell out and take a bad shot. For instance, our offense hadn't been too bad, but we're playing way too fast, Chris. Our possessions are like 75, 76, and we're not that kind of team. So, our possessions have been too fast, but our shooting would be a lot better if we ran more offense instead of shooting in the first 10 seconds. And so those are things that we've got to continue to work on. Those fall in lines with mental toughness too. Do I take the first available questionable shot, or do I work it to get a great shot? That falls in line with mental toughness as well. So we tried to cover all those things, but all those things that's not a skill set. So the most untalented can handle mental toughness. And I think that's what we're struggling with right now.
KJ kind of echoed your woe is me sentiment when we talked to him on Monday. He said, maybe when things get a little tough, we kind of go into our own one-on-one kind of games. Is that a product of not being around each other as much and not getting to just see the court?
Well, again, zero excuses, because I'm not an excuse guy. We are where we are, and it's our doing. So we've got to live with that, and we've got to move forward and take better steps forward. We've done that yesterday. We've done that in meetings. I think we'll do it again today. But the test is tomorrow, and we've got to do it against a really good basketball team. But we haven't been able to do the things we normally do. Have the guys out the house over the break, go to the movies over the break, go to children's hospitals and do a Boys and Girls Club and do the community services that we normally do, that when you're on break with no school, there's a lot of bonding that goes on. And we've had 2 weeks where we haven't seen anybody, so it's including each other. Now, a lot of teams are in that same boat. So, again, it's not an excuse. It's just we haven't handled that very well. And so we haven't been able to grow like we've wanted to over the break. The break's over. We're back in school now. Hopefully we can get in a good routine. And hopefully we start playing better. And we're not that far off. But in this league this year, you can be just a little off and not win games, because this league's really good, top to bottom. It's as good as I've seen it since one of the years I was at New Mexico when BYU and Utah were in the league, UNLV, San Diego State, ourselves at New Mexico. There's about 5 really upper division teams that year, and we got a lot of teams in the tournament that year. I haven't seen it that good since now. I mean, we legitimately have a conference that top to bottom is hard to win. I don't care if you're playing at home or on the road. It's very, very difficult to win. New Mexico played awfully well last night at Colorado State, and they haven't won a game. Every game out, you've got to play well, and we're not that far off, but we're far enough off that it's causing us to lose some games.
By all accounts, you guys all get along, and the players like each other. How would you assess the leadership, though? Because sometimes if everyone just gets along, you don't have someone saying, hey, this is what we have to do, and maybe be the bad guy to push the team forward.
Right, absolutely. The chemistry's fine. The guys get along extremely well, off the floor. And I think where we've got to get tougher and stronger is the building. When you say accountable, that's exactly right. Is if I mess up and somebody tells me I mess up, take that. Not get defensive, not go get in the shell and shut it down for 3 minutes. That hurts your team, and that's a very immature approach. And we've had some of that. And so it's about, one, delivering that criticism the right way, I think, as a teammate, and then accepting it, and then move on and try to do everything you can to help your teammate. It's not a chemistry problem in the locker room, out of the locker room. That's not it. It's more once we get between the lines and it gets competitive and it gets heated. We got some guys that just, they don't want to hear. Sometimes you don't want to hear the truth. But the truth, the truth needs to be told, and then you got to accept it and you got to get better. And, I think those are the things that we've got to get better at.
Coach, kind of a B part to that, I was just talking with Grant just a little bit ago, and we ended up talking about leadership. And he's not a super loud guy, but he talked about how you want him to take more of that role. Is that accurate? Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. Well, he's the point guard. He's got a high usage rate, so he's playing the most minutes. Obviously when you look at best players on our team, he's near the top, if not the top. So he creates a lot for us at the offensive end, and he's done a better job this year defensively. We want more out of him, but I think he's done more of that, and his leadership has been better. But when you got individuals that particularly aren't shooting the ball well, or you got to find different ways of affecting the game. You affect it defensively. You affect that with deflections on the defensive end. You rebound it better. You drive it better. You get to the free throw line more. There's other ways than just making shots. But obviously he's got to be a good leader, and I think when you look at Dez, and Dez has gone through a rut right now. So that's anytime you're a leader, it's always the hardest when you're not probably playing your best. But Warren and KJ have been guys that have been here a long time. So they're very capable of being good leaders. It's just finding that identity. And if we get that identity, and that's why we've been really trying to stress as coaches, our identity's got to be at the defensive end, not whether we make our next 3 jump shots. That should not be our identity. Our identity should be how tough we are to score upon. And then we're able to get out on the break where we're really good in transition, and we're not able to do that enough because we're not getting enough consistent stops for 40 minutes. You know, we had Air Force down majority of the game, double figures late in the game, and they scored 22 points in the last 6 minutes. And I've said it before, it's just because of their style. They might score 22 and a half sometimes. You got 22 in the last 6 minutes. New Mexico, same way, 24, 25 points last 6 minutes. Our last game out, Wyoming, same way. 8 minutes to go in the game against Wyoming, it's a one-possession game. We got it, and then that's toughness. That's not succumbing to fatigue, both mentally and physically. And we've got to do a better job of coaches, of keeping guys accountable to that and drilling them more to where they're ready to do that. And then the players got to take on some responsibility themselves of getting that done, because this league's too hard to play 32 of the 40. We got to play extremely hard and extremely well for 40 minutes.
When you look at Fresno State, I mean, they don't shoot the three all that well, but defensively and Orlando Robinson, what are going to be the biggest challenges in that game?
Yeah, I think it starts with Orlando. He's a special talent. He's got great size. He rebounds it well. He's a shot blocker, so he's a presence at the rim defensively. And he's a big that can really move. I mean, he can shoot the three. He can bounce it on you, and he can post you. So it starts there. But I think their guards are much more improved over a year. They're a little bit older. They get a little bit more age and experience to them from a year ago, and they seem to be playing at a much higher level. Holland was somebody that, to be honest with you, I think he almost played off of last year, and now he's shooting 47 from three. So it's just a different team that way, and they're very aggressive defensively. So they're going to really push us, as we try to concentrate to move the ball, get better shots. This is going to be a team that's going to make it really hard. So we can't sell out the first average shot that we get, and we're going to have to really pay attention to how we defend, because I think both sides of the ball, Fresno's very well, doing a very good job.
The team practices at 2, so.
One more.
You had alluded to potentially tinkering with lineups. Is that something that
We'll do that game to game. I mean, I think it's not, we're not looking at it as one player or even two players. It's a team. Our team is not, when I've talked about all these things here today, it's not one or two guys. It's our team that has to get tougher. We just do. And that's, I don't care what's happened with, the COVID shutdowns or the breaks that we've had. We've tried to tell our guys, you're not going to wake up February 1st and here's your record and there's an asterisk by it that, you were 3-3 during break and you had shutdowns. No, you're 3-3, period. So we've got to deal with that. But as a team, we've got to get much, much tougher. Especially, and it's not just I've spent a lot of time on the last 8 minutes, but sometimes our starts haven't been good. Whether it's been first half, second half. So how we start a game, how we start a half, and then obviously how we finish it. And those are tough. Those are tough-minded things that we've got to be able to figure out as a team. So it's not really just a couple individuals that warrant somebody going to the bench and somebody coming in. So there could be changes, but it's not something that I think is going to change what we're doing. It's more of a team thing.